Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another Wednesday marathon, and the day we take on those bigger catalogues. And today we have got a viewer's request. Now, the band in question are Clutch. Now, Clutch, I've heard of the band, but I've never really took much notice of them. I'd heard some of their stuff, and yeah, it's okay. So this was the first time I'd really sat down and listened to it properly. They're an American rock band that was formed in 1991 by Dan Maines, who's the bass player, and Jean-Paul Geister on the drums. Tim Salt and Roger Smalls was on vocals. Before settling on the name Clutch, the band had some funny names. They had Glue Trip and Moral Minority. Roger Smalls left and they brought in Neil Fallon, who was a long-time schoolmate of the other members of the band. And they chose the name Clutch because of their interest in cars. Now, they've released 13 albums. Now, it took me a little while to get into these. So this is just sort of my first impressions of the band. So if yours is at the bottom, I do apologise, but I know what I like, and I'm terribly stubborn at certain things. So we'll have a look at these 13 albums. They're all got some good stuff on. I won't say that there's no bad albums. There's just ones I prefer. So here we go. So coming in at number 13, we have the debut album from 1993. I'll get this right. It's Transnational Speedway League, with anthems, antidotes, and undeniable truths, but it's shortened to Transnational Speedway League. So it's Neil Fallon who does the vocals, Tim Salt on guitar, Dan Maines on bass, and Jean-Paul Geister on drums. First track is called A Shotgun Named Marcus. Now, hanging about here, bang, straight in. Really great riffs here from Tim on the guitars. It's okay vocal from Neil, I don't mind that. Then we get Jeff Speaks. Interesting vocal. You know me and this shouty sort of vocal. I'm not really into it. I never have been. But what I do like about here is Dan's bass line. It's quite meaty. It's an interesting song, that one. Blind and Purge. I really struggle with this. Even I put this on yesterday just to see if I could change my mind, and I can't. I don't like it. It's simple as that. Then we have 12-ounce Epilogue. It's got that distinctive bass line. Now, Dan Maines' bass lines are pretty distinctive, isn't it? Very unique style. I do struggle with the singing because it's more of a growly, shouty grunt. And he does sing in the middle of it, and then I really do struggle with it. Then we have a track called Back Channel. Not my favourite on the track on the album. There must be loads of people already pulling your hair out with my decisions, but I really can't get on with this style. Milk of Human Kindness. Great music. The band are on fire. But it's that vocal delivery again. It puts me off a little bit. Rats is a good track. Ignore the sort of grunty vocals. It's got a great guitar solo on from Tim. Earthworm, another track I just couldn't get my head round it. Heirloom 13. For this style of music, it's just a little bit too long. Then we got my favourite track on here. It's called Walking in the Great Shining Path of Monster Trucks. Yeah, I like that. There's not so much grunty on it. And then we have a track called Effigy. It's just spoken word, which I found very irritating. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not very keen on this album. Uh, I do, as I said, it's just I think it's that vocal delivery. The music's good. The band play well together, but I'm just glad that the vocals got better as time went on. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking a 4 out of 10. Okay, coming in number 12, we got a 1999 now, and the fourth album, Jam Room. All the albums have got Neil, Tim, and Dan and Jean Paul on, but they have a few people come in and help. We have Delfeo Marcelis on horns on this one. First track is called Who Wants to Rock? Very short track, but real good guitar work. Then we get Big Fat Pig. This is quite good, a mixture of good guitar work, Neil's distinctive vocal. It's a little more, it's toned down a bit, and you can actually hear what's going on. It's not too bad. Then we get Going to Market. Very short track, but a great drum line here from Jean Paul. A great bass line from Dan as ever. It's pretty solid. One Eye Dollar. It's a short track. Shame it's so short. It's only 1 minute and 13. Sounds really good. Raised by Horses. A little bit off key in places. Very strange, but some really good riffs in that. Bertha's Big Backyard. Not my cup of tea at all. Then we have my favourite on here, and it's called Gnome Enthusiast. Really good. It's very glam rocky in places. I love the drumming on this. It's that sort of bubblegum pop drum beat. Some nice guitar work as well. And then we get Swamp Boot Upside Down. Sounds like everybody's playing their own thing, but it has got a really good guitar solo from Tim. I do give him that. Basket of Eggs, good track again. Very metally glam rock. I do like that track. Release the Kraken, really interesting. A little bit of keyboard in here. Doesn't really good. Then we get The Drifter. Good bass line. It's okay. I Send Pictures. Some great drumming from Jean Paul. Not a bad vocal either. Sink and Low. It's alright. It's listenable. Super Duper. This is one of these tracks. Just hit the record button and see what happens. And then they release the dub. Oh dear, it's a terrible track. It's certainly a mixed bag album. There's some good stuff on here, and there's not some good stuff on here. So I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 11, we got a 1995 now, and this is their second album, and it's just called Clutch. We've got guest artiste on here. We've got Richard Morel playing the organ on tracks 5, 7, 12, and 13. So the first track on there is Big News 1. Great bass line here from Dan. Really good track. I like that one. Big News 2 is the second track. There's a few grunts on here, but it's all right. I can live with that one. Rock and Roll Outlaw. Sorry. Guitar work is very, very good. Tim's vocals are a little bit not so harsh, so it's not too bad. Texan Book of the Dead. He hasn't still got away from shouting down the microphone instead of singing, so I'm not very keen on that one. Escape from the Prison Planet. Very interesting vocal delivery. It isn't too bad. He's starting to get a little bit mellow, is Tim, so I like that track. Space Grass. It's too long for this style of music. I think when you got this real aggressive, you just got to keep it short, sharp, and punchy. It just lingers a little bit. Then we have a track called I Have the Body of John Wilkes Booth. It's okay, mixture of grunting and shouting. Tight Like That. I think it works. This is one of the shouty tracks that actually works. I don't mind that. Animal Farm comes next. This track is so raw you can cut yourself on it. It's really good. The vocal works. It's got some great riffs and bass line. I like that. Droid, another really good song. They're very good musicians and a very good vocal from Tim. I actually like that one. The House That Peter Built. Lots of great drumming on here from Jean Paul. I love that hi-hat cymbal on this. Seven Jam. Guitar playing from Tim is very good. It's very Jimi Hendrix. Then we get Tim Salt versus the Greys. A little jam session here. Tim's work on the guitar is excellent. Yeah, certainly a lot better than the debut album. I think they've started to sort things out and got what they want to go. As I said, Neil's vocals are a little bit more mellow and they're not so aggressive that you can actually understand what he's singing. So I think he was trying too hard on the debut, in my opinion. But this is a pretty half decent album, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming in at number 10 from 2001, we have Pure Rock Fury. Joining the guys on this one, we have got Scott Weinrich on guitar solo on a couple of tracks. Congas by The Heartbeat. Leslie West, yes, Leslie West from Mountain, does additional guitars on Immortal. Dan Kerr, which additional vocals as well. Joe Selby does the guitar solo on the right channel of Frankenstein. It says right channel. And Machine does additional vocals. So the first track on here is called American Sleep. I really like this. It's just old-fashioned rock. It's a very, very good track. Title track comes next, which is Pure Rock Fury. Good track. Tim's guitar solo is absolutely brilliant. I like that track. Open the Border, one of my favourite tracks on the album. Great vocal from Neil. He's really toned his vocals now. It's a super little track, that is. Careful with that mic. A good track. I love the groove on this one. It's got sort of spoken word, and Neil's vocals pretty good. Red Horse Rainbow, a very melodic track. Great drumming from Jean Paul. Like that one a lot. The Great Eight Doors, another great track that starts off with some great drumming from Jean Paul. Tim's guitar riffs are good. Nice effects here. Very solid track. Smoke Banshees next. Really 70s rock sound this is. I like this track a lot. It really is good. Frankenstein. This actually reminds me of that sound that the Red Hot Chili Peppers do. Great drumming from Jean Paul. It's very Chad drumming style and a great guitar solo from Tim. Then we have Sinkalemlo, something like that. Yeah, a little bit of shouting on it. Didn't need it really. Then we get Immortal, which is the track that's got Leslie on it. Absolutely brilliant. My favourite track on the album. Yeah, it's probably because it's got some great guitar work from Leslie West. But there you go. Brazen Head. I don't like this. It's just too noisy and too busy. Drink to Dead. It's okay. And then they throw a live version of Space Grass on it, which is a lot better than the studio version. Not a bad album. Some really good tracks on. I'd say this is one of the first albums I really liked by Clutch that I was listening to. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.6. Time for a drink. Okay, then coming in at number 9. It's the 11th album, which came out in 2015. And it's called Psychic Warfare. It's just Neil, Tim, Dan and Jean Paul on this. First track is the Affidavit. It's a very short intro. Very spacey sort of thing. Then we get X-Ray Visions. I love the riffs from Tim on this. Great vocal from Tim on this. And guitar work is, you know, his rhythm guitar is pretty good. It keeps the, it's a solid rhythm. Great little track. I like that one. Firebirds comes next. Really good track. There's a nice little bit of interplay between Tim and Neil on the guitars on that. I do like that. A Quick Death in Texas. Tim's guitar work is great. His solo is pretty good. The drumming is really beefy. I like that. Sucker for the Witch. Strong bass line from Dan. Even mentions the name Stevie Nicks in the lyrics. How's that? Pretty cool, eh? Your Love is an Incineration. Certainly got elements of Faith No More in this. I don't mind that at all. I like that. Then we have this little short thing called Doom Saloon, and it's just Tim and Neil having a bit of a play round. I think pretty good. Then my favourite track on here, it's Our Lady of Electric Light. It sort of continues on from Doom Saloon. Dan's bass line is terrific on this. Some solid drumming as ever. It's a really sort of slow melodic rock track with some great guitar work. I do like Neil's vocal in that as well. It's a terrific track. Noble Savage comes next. Love the riffs in this at the beginning. It's a good little track. Behold the Colossus. This is just dominated by Jean-Paul's drumming all the way through. Absolutely solid. Some driving rhythm riffs from Neil and some great vocals from him on that. Decapitation Blues. I love that middle bit with the guitars and the drums. Great track. Son of Virginia comes next, and the longest track on the album, the last one. It works because it goes in different moves and swings. The end bit's the best. Stunning vocal from Neil. An album I really enjoyed. It's got some great tracks on here. It's, apart from that last track, they're all sharp, but the Son of Virginia does work. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then, number 8. The 9th album, released in 2009. Strange Cousins from the West. Neil, Tim, Dan and Jean-Paul. Motherless Child opens up this one. I love the start of this. I love this acoustic bluesy sound. The rest of the band come in. Dan's bass line just takes it away into another dimension. Really good. Then my favourite track off this one, Struck Down. Incredible guitar solo on this, and it's one of my favourite vocals from Neil. Absolutely brilliant. 50,000 Unstoppable Watts next. This track is great. Jean-Paul's drumming's good. Dan's bass line, the engine room really working over time on this one. Absolutely terrific. Then we have a track just called Abraham Lincoln. Again, it's Jean-Paul's drumming that's great. And then got this eerie bass line from Dan. Terrific. Then we have Minotaur. A solid track. Jean-Paul's drumming on this album is really solid. Again, he dominates that track with his drumming. The Amazing Cree Skin. Great vocal from Neil on this. All that grunting and shouting's gone. It's a very deep vocal. And it's an excellent track. I like that one. Witch Doctor, love the guitar work on this. Got some nice tones on the guitars. Got that driving rhythm from Neil and Tim's lovely little melodic riffs on top. Great track. Let a Poor Man Be. Again, this, as I said, this album is just dominated by some absolutely belting drumming. Very, very good track. Again, great guitar. I like that track a lot. Freakonomics. The riffs in this are terrific. Heavy, hard. Very good track. And then we get Aloha Combedio. I love the guitar solo from Tim on this. With an amazing sort of bassy solo as well from Dan. Sleaze Tack Lightning, last track. Love the guitar solo on this. One of the best guitar solos on the album. As again, it's another really strong album. Hasn't really got a bad track on it, in honesty. Good listen. So I should give this one an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we have got their most current album that was released in 2022, and it is called Sunrise on Slaughter Beach. First track on here is Red Alert, Boss Metal Zone. Thunder on this. Nice vocals from Nick. They've really come a long way since that debut album. Very, very good. Slaughter Beach, the driving riffs on this really are great. You got the two guitarists really driving them home, and then and how Dan sort of gets his bass line above these great riffs. Interesting track, very, very good. Mountain of Bone. There's a maturity of Neil's voice now. Very, very good. I like this track a lot. He is a great vocalist since his early days. Then we get Nostrafato Madur. It's got that very Black Sabbath, early Black Sabbath doom metal sort, from the first couple of albums of Black Sabbath. That's a terrific track. Then we get Mercy Brown. I love this. It's my favourite track. It's so heavy, eerie. I just love that sort of thing. We strive for excellence. Jean-Paul's drumming again is absolutely brilliant. Great bass line from Dan. Skeletons on Mars. It's got a freaky sort of guitar keyboard sound on it. I don't know if it's keyboards or guitars, but it's really freaky, and it sort of adds to the atmosphere of that track. Three Golden Horns. It's okay. It's not the best track on the album. Jackhammer Our Names. The drumming from Jean-Paul, fantastic. Atmospheric. Some nice delicate guitar work. I love how this band have evolved. I love this album. It's just full of great tracks. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we'll go to the third album from 1998, and it's called The Elephant Riders, and this features Delphia Marcis on the trombone. The Elephant Riders opens up this one. I like this. I like the spoken word on it. It's really gives it some eeriness. Really like it. Ship of Gold. Another great track. The great bass line here from Dan, as well as Jean-Paul's drum in the engine room of this band. Strong, really good track. 8 Times Over Miss October. There's still a little bit of that shouty vocal on here because we're still in them early days, but it works. It's more gritty, and you can understand what Tim is saying. Really good. The Soap Makers. Oh, the bass line on this. The distorted sound. The great guitar work both on Tim and Neil. Still got elements of that early sound, but it's still really good. The Yeti. Some nice detailed guitar work here. It's very good. Then we get Much as Vicious. I think that's Vicious. My favourite track. Some great guitar effects on the solo here. The bass line's good. The trumpet is a bit of a curveball, but it adds to it. It really does. It's a really good track. Green Buckets. There's one thing I like about Clutch music. It's their sharpness and their tightness. It's a really good track. Wishbone. Before they start singing, it's sort of very Black Sabbath. I think they may have been influenced by Black Sabbath. Then we have Crackerjack. Don't start shouting Crackerjack. Those in the UK know what I'm talking about. Again, it's got some trumpet on here. It really, trumpet and this metal sound of metal, you thought shouldn't work, but it does. It's a great track. I'll do like the guitar solo in that one as well. The Dragonfly comes next, the last track. Very Jimi Hendrix guitar work on here at the start. There's some eerie keyboard thrown in. Some bells, atmospheric. Really works. Great track. I think this is the Clutch album that everything sort of fell into place. They were still experimenting, but as I said, there was less of the shouty, gritty to a more deep, strong vocal on this, and I think that was a good turning point for this band. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we go to the 12th album from 2018, and it's the Bad Book of Decisions. It's just the 4 of them on this one. So the first track is Gimme the Keys. The guitar work at the beginning of this is brilliant. Dan's bass line drives the song along. Really good foundation for this start of this album. The Spirit of 76, my favourite track on this album. It's just got so many killer riffs on it, and a great solo, and a great vocal from Neil as well. Then we get the title track, Bad Book of Decisions. Very atmospheric bass. The drums are really delicate in places. Strong drifts again. Drifts? Try riffs, Iain. And a great vocal from Neil. How to Shake Hands. Mega drumming from Jean Paul on this. Absolutely killer track. In walks Barbarella. It's really interesting track, a really experimental track. Bit of a curveball on this album, but it actually works. It's really good. I like that track quite a lot. Vision Quest. Bit of rock and roll, bit of piano. Just a very solid track. Weird Times. Jean Paul's drumming's great on this. Some great riffs as well. Really strong track. Then we get Emily Dickerson. This starts off with a fantastic bass line from Dan again. In comes Jean Paul's echoey drums. One of my favourite tracks on the album. Sonic Counselor. Drumming's really hollow but heavy at the same time. Love the riffs on this. Drives the song along them riffs. A good fire. Very funky from Dan on the bass. Some super guitar effects. Another really good track. Ghoul Wrangler. Again, it's just dominated by Dan's bass line. Some cool guitar licks from Tim as well. HB is in control. Drums are fantastic. Great bass line. Solid track. Hot Bottom Feeder. Bluesy guitar on this at the beginning. A bit of slide in there. The drumming's great. Then we get Paper and Strife. Very short, 3-minute track. It's a sharp, short. That's what it says on the tin, really. Then we get the last track, Lorelei. It's atmospheric, some nice, delicate guitar on this. Just shows the diversity of this band. A very good album from Clutch. They just got better with age. A solid album from top to bottom. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.6. It's getting a bit dark in here. Let's put a bit of light on the scene. There we go. So, coming in at number 4, we've got the 6th album from 2004, and it's called Blast Tyrant. This one opens up with a really good track called Mercury. Heavy drums, heavy riffs, and a very good vocal from Neil. Prophets of Doom, another short, sharp track, dominated by Tim's riffs and licks and Dan's bass. The Mob Goes Wild, John Paul's track this is. rolling around that drum kit with an absolute killer bass line. Cypress Grove. It's got a bit of a reggae drum beat on this. I think it's a bit different, and it works. Very good track. Then we get Promoter of Earthbound Causes. There's some really nice guitar effects on this, especially at the beginning. Just a very, very good track. Then we get my favourite track on here. It's called The Regulator. The start of this on the acoustic guitar was great. It reminds me of some of Lindsey Buckingham's guitar playing on the acoustic. Lovely, lovely overtones. It's a mellow track for the band, and that's probably why I like it. It's a bit different. Then it starts to beef up with some stronger riffs. It's a fantastic track, one of their best tracks. Wormdrick, really good track, some really nice little half beats on the drums from Jean Paul. Very skilled drummer. You know, he's used to just going crash bang while up, but when it comes to it, he can do the delicate stuff as well. Army of Bono, some great riffs on this. The guitar effects are really good. I love that distorted wah-wah on this one. Great vocal from Neil. Spleen Merchant, one of the shortest track on the album. It's really heavy, short, sharp, punchy track with a great guitar solo. In the Wake of the Swollen Goat. Very, very good track. Gets you hooked in from the word go. Short, sharp, punchy again. Then we have Weathermaker, which is a little intro to the next track, I think. I don't know why we have these, but they just put it on. But it goes into subdued hustle. Jean Paul's drumming is really good, and I love the vocal from Nick on that. Absolutely brilliant. Ghost. One of the mellow guitar tracks here. Some nice acoustic guitar in this one as well. Notes from the Trial of La Carandra. Starts off really heavy, and then halfway through it just sort of powers down a little bit. It's quite interesting how it changes from being heavy to mellow. Then we have this instrumental called WYSIWYG. Very good instrumentals, and it just proves what great musicians they are. Although there are 15 tracks on here, they're very short, sharp tracks. I don't mind the albums that have got a lot of tracks on, as long as they're short tracks. There's a couple over 5, but most of it is short tracks. And the time goes at a good pace. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay then, coming in at number 3, we have album 7 from 2005. It's Robot Hive stroke Exodus. We have got Michael Schur on Hammond organ and anything keyboards joining the chaps. First track on here is called The Incomparable Mr. Flannelly. Interesting riffs on this. I love Jean Paul's drumming. Absolutely amazing. Then we get Burning Beard. Very strong track. Fine vocal from Neil. Then we get a track called Gula. My favourite track, the opening, is a very sort of ZZ Top, dirty blues riff. The sort you get off some of them later ZZ Top albums, you know, like from La Fruitra. It's got that real gritty bluesy sound. I love this track. One of their best tracks for me. Mice and Gods. The engine room's so good on this. That bass and drum tight as you like. Polski Skyway comes next. Again, it's just dominated by Jean Paul's drumming. Really strong riffs from both Neil and Tim. Never Been Moved. This is great. It's got that 70s or Hammondy organ feel to it. I like tracks like that. I've always loved rock tracks with great keyboard. Then we get a track called, I'll just say it's 1000111101. Again, very 70s, that organ Hammondy sound, richness, just adds an extra layer to this track. I do like it. It's an absolutely killer track. Small upsetters. The riffs are good. We've got a lovely keyboard tone on this as well, which really works. It really adds to their armament. We're having a great keyboard sound as well. Circus Maximus. Great riffs, great vocal. Again, I do love the keyboards on this. Tripping the Alarm. I love that the rhythm on riffs on this from Neil. Really solid. And then you throw a good lead riff on top of it, and then it's got that lovely twin guitar sound. Really good. Then we get 10,000 Witnesses, a short, sharp rocker. There is some tambourine in this somewhere, if you listen carefully. Great drumming from Jean-Paul as ever. Land of the Pleasant Living. A bit different. The keyboard's a bit different in this. Great bass line. Then we have a cover, and it's Gravel Road by Mississippi Fred McDowell. I do a really good version of this. It's a little bit more fast and furious than the original, of course. But, you know, it's that song. And it's a very good version of it. Who's Been Talking? Now, this is really a different. This allowed the drumming. The drumming from Jean Paul's are different. You got this digital keyboard with some nice gentle guitar. Funny way to end the album, but it worked. I think the addition of the keyboard on this was a bit of genius. It added that extra depth. I love every song on this album, from top to bottom. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 2, we've got the 8th album from 2007. And it's From Beale Street to Oblivion. Mike Schuer's back on the keyboards. We've got extra guitarist Brian Hinckley. And Eric Oberlander, just the harmonica. First track on this one, You Can't Stop Progress. Great little bit of drumming on here. The riffs are good. Neil's vocals are solid. Great start to the album. Power Player. I love the keyboards from Mick on this. Really gives it extra depth, and I really like that. The Devil and Me, some Hammond organ, always pricks my ears up. Absolutely killer track. Really strong vocal from Neil as well. Brilliant track. Then we get White's Ferry. Very bluesy track. Again, it's that late ZZ Top blues, that dirty riffs. Some great guitar work from Tim on that. Child of the City. This is probably one of my favourite guitar solos from Tim. It's absolutely brilliant. The way he plays it, he's got so much emotion in there. And then, of course, we got the one that everybody knows, and it's a cover again of a Mississippi Fred McDowell track. And this is probably the first track that I ever heard by Clutch, because I recognised the tune, and I thought, no, it can't be. And then I found that it was. And it's Electric Worry. I love this. I think Neil does a great vocal on it. It's bluesy, it's catchy. It is absolutely brilliant version of it. My favourite track as well on this album. Then we get a little short thing called One Eye Dollar. Just a little short bluesy rocker. Rapture of Ridley Walker. The keyboard is the killer bit in this. In the background, atmospheric. When Vegans Attack. A great little bass line from Dan this is. I love the guitar work between Neil and Tim on this. Opossum Minister. Again, it's that 70s feel. They've gone into a 70s rock vibe. The riffs are great. Some great drumming. Another solid track. Black Umbrella. The guitar interplay here between Tim and Neil is brilliant. Very, very good track. Then the last track is called Mr. Shiny Cadillacness. Love the track. when you get a great bass line from Dan, you know you're going to get a solid track. The drumming on top of that's lovely. The lovely keyboard undertone. You got Neil doing a bit of rapping here, which is strange, but it adds to it. Absolute killer album. I've loved playing this. I've played it quite a lot since I've started listening to this band. It's just a brilliant album, solid. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. But my favourite album by Clutch. And within listening to 3 songs on this, I knew this would be my number one. The first 3 songs are just absolutely stonking. It's their 10th album from 2013, and it's called Earth Rocker, and it's just the 4 of them. So the title track, Earth Rocker, wow, what a start. You get this gentle drum from Jean-Paul, and you thought, oh, this is going to be a nice track, and then all of a sudden that big riff comes in, and it totally really grabs you by the doo-doos, and you're hooked. It's very, very, very good. I just love that opening track. Absolutely great. Then we get Crucial Velocity. The heavy drums on this. The riffs just open up your ears. Just short, sharp, punchy. I like these tracks. Really hooks you in. Mr. Freedom. There's no messing about on this. Drumming straight in, riffs, and a killer guitar solo from Tim. DC Sound Attack, great rocker. Love Neil's vocals in this. One of my favourites on the album. Some dirty, grungy riffs as well. It just sounds great under the headphones, that does. Unto the Breach, good rocker. One of Neil's best vocals. The drumming again, this sounds absolutely brilliant under the headphones. Absolutely brilliant. Gone Cold, my favourite track on here. Definitely a top 5 Clutch track as well. It's a very slow start. The bass line is great. And then the gentle drumming from Jean-Paul. As I said, this guy doesn't just hit them hard. He can do the delicate stuff. And then you get this lovely bit of guitar work from Tim. Acoustic guitars, atmospheric rock track, great stuff. Then we get the Face, very Black Sabbath. I love the vocal, brilliant. Book, Saddle, Go is next. This has got a rolling drum from Jean-Paul, groovy bass line from Dan. Another track that just blows your head out open under headphones. Sideboard Betty. This is just a short track full of energy. This is what this band's about, energy and fun, and it's an absolutely killer track. Oh Isabella, another of my favourite tracks on this album. Dan's bass line is brilliant, that rolling drum shuffle from Jean-Paul. Throw in some great riffs. That's just a great little track. The Wolfman Kindly Requests. Again, probably one of my favourite vocals from Neil on this album. You got Jean-Paul's great drums. It's a fantastic track to end the album. From that moment you put this album on, you just know it's going to be your favourite. It's lots of energy. You can sense the fun they're having recording this. You've sort of gone from, from that sort of shrieky vocal from Neil to this mature, great vocal. I just think this is a great album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go, there's Clutch. A band that I've really liked their later stuff. Their earlier stuff I'm not too keen on, especially them first 2 albums. I don't really get into that shouty stuff, as I said, but their later stuff is absolutely brilliant. This is a band full of energy. You know, they've been playing together as a unit all this time, and you can just tell how good they get as I went on. So there we go. That's all for today. Don't forget, we're back tomorrow on live stream. Tomorrow we have got a battle of the debuts viewers pick, and it's a pick from the one and only Mr. Mastermind Dave. And these are two albums that came out in 1970 within months of each other. And it is Supertramp's self-titled debut and the brilliant Beggars Opera's Act 1, which is a great track. Some great tracks on that. And tomorrow we have got Pick and Mix, and we're going to have a wander down the sidewalk, and we're going to look at the albums for the top 10 songs, of the 21st of September 1958. And a bit of history. And tomorrow is also it's a very special day for me. I'll tell you about that tomorrow. So have a good day, everybody. Bye for now.